Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Emmerdale's Maura Dingle threatens huge change after 16 years. Emmerdale's Maura Dingle will consider making a huge change after 16 years, as a new arrival shakes things up at Butler's farm. This week, Maura discovers a mysterious letter addressed to the family of Emma Barton. She initially keeps the note to herself, but struggling to suppress memories of pushing Emma to her death, she later shows it to Ross. The note reveals Ross has a long-lost brother called Lewis, whose existence he was completely unaware of. The pair meet up, but Lewis's probing questions about his family cause an overwhelmed Ross to leave the conversation. In next week's episodes, Lewis continues his attempt to connect with Ross, who reluctantly agrees to meet up again. Lewis starts asking his brother about some of the dark family secrets, and when he asks to meet Maura, Ross is hesitant. Maura is already at her wit's end when Ross arrives, telling her that the long-lost son of a woman she killed is waiting outside for her. Though she braces herself for the encounter, Maura quickly buckles under the weight of the painful memories that have all been brought up again. The next day, Ross is still adjusting to having a new sibling in his life. But when he hears Lewis is growing weed, he suddenly becomes interested in the endeavor. Meanwhile, the farm's ever-growing financial troubles will soon be made worse by a serious leak with the slurry tank, leading a weary Maura to make a difficult decision as she considers packing it all in. Later, Lewis and Ross continue to bond, and Ross acquires a few cannabis plants. Mac discovers the illicit plan and is sworn to secrecy by Ross. Having been blamed for the recent farm mishap, Mac sees a solution to covering the fines. However, he and Ross soon realize they don't have enough cannabis plants and devise an alternative scheme. Chicago fans rejoice. Exciting franchise news revealed. NBC has renewed Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and Chicago Med for the 2025 to 2026 season, albeit with some budget cuts. The One Chicago franchise isn't bowing out just yet. NBC has renewed 3 of its powerhouse series, Chicago Fire for its 14th season, Chicago PD for its 13th season, and Chicago Med for its 11th season. This renewal was announced on social media through a video featuring various cast members from Chicago Fire, available for viewing below. As Deadline reported last month, the renewal of the 3 Chicago series, and the rest of Wolf Entertainment's dramatic series on NBC, was never in doubt. Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and Law and Order, SVU, indeed dominate NBC's linear scripted series ratings, as well as those on its streaming service, Peacock. According to NBC Universal, the current seasons of the 3 Chicago series have reached nearly 46 million viewers to date on NBC and Peacock, with their streaming viewership also increasing year over year. Expected budget cuts. However, as per annual tradition, budget discussions took place between the network and Universal Television, the studio behind Wolf Entertainment's series, ahead of the renewals. These discussions resulted in cuts across all series known collectively as One Chicago, a common practice for long-running shows as their costs rise with age. 2 years ago, as the 2022 to 2023 season approached, Wolf Entertainment and Universal TV had reduced the minimum guarantees for most actors in the Chicago series and Law and Order, SVU. This cost-saving measure, widely used for long-standing dramatic series, involves not featuring recurring characters in every produced episode. At that time, the reduction was a few episodes, for example, 2 for most actors. As Deadline writes, this is still the case today, with some actors set to appear in 2 to 4 fewer episodes next season. According to the media outlet, although the overall orders for the 3 series are still evolving, they might be slightly shorter next season, another persistent trend in television that allows networks to save money. In another measure to curtail budget increases, some One Chicago actors will also have to forego their annual 5% raise, according to some sources. With these renewals secured, One Chicago still needs to ensure the support of a few seasoned actors whose contracts are expiring this season, including Chicago Fire star Taylor Kinney. Negotiations are reportedly ongoing. However, two cast members from the same series, Daniel Keary and Jake Lockett, will not return next season to cut costs, Deadline reported last month. According to some sources, other departures from One Chicago could be possible. One Chicago, described by NBC as the most-watched drama franchise on Live Plus 7 television, has helped the network dominate Wednesday nights. The three shows, pioneers of the integrated franchise universe, also perform very well together. Chicago has always been a city of grit, heart, and resilience. A metropolis that pulses with energy, whether it's game night at Wrigley Field, a dramatic takedown on Chicago PD, or a sizzling rescue on Chicago Fire. Now the Windy City has one more reason to cheer. Dick Wolf, the mastermind behind the beloved One Chicago franchise, has dropped a surprise announcement that's sending shockwaves through the fandom. A brand new series is joining the franchise, and it's unlike anything we've seen before. Introducing Chicago Rescue, a high-octane, emotionally driven spin-off that will focus on a specialized elite unit of first responders, trained for the most extreme rescue situations imaginable, collapsed buildings, floods, fires, and disasters that push human endurance to the limit. While Chicago Fire gives us Station 51's valiant firefighters and paramedics, Chicago Rescue will operate citywide and beyond, often responding to large-scale emergencies in cooperation with other departments. It's the kind of heart-pounding action fans crave, but with a deeper, more psychological edge. But that's not all. The series promises crossovers galore. Yes, that means Sergeant Hank Voight from Chicago PD and Chief Bowden from Chicago Fire will make appearances in the pilot, helping to anchor the new show in the existing universe. In fact, the new rescue unit will be headquartered in a retrofitted warehouse just blocks from Firehouse 51. The opportunity for surprise visits, urgent joint missions, and explosive drama is endless. Who's in the cast? Fan favorite and Chicago Fire alum Monica Raymond is set to return as Gabriella Dawson. Yes, you read that right. After years away working in Puerto Rico, Dawson is coming back to Chicago to head up the new elite rescue unit. She's tougher, wiser, and determined to make a difference in the city she still calls home. The character's return is a dream come true for longtime viewers, many of whom have been campaigning online for her comeback since her departure. Joining Raymond is Chicago Med guest star Jeremiah Carter, played by up-and-comer Eli Morgan, a trauma nurse turned rescue medic who thrives in chaos but battles PTSD from his military days. Then there's Darlene Vega, played by Melissa Ponzio, a fire engineer with a reputation for pulling off impossible recoveries and ruffling feathers in the process. Rounding out the team is Marcus Lang, Jonathan Davis, a brilliant but enigmatic structural engineer with a mysterious past and a knack for being in the right place at the worst time. Behind the scenes, the show boasts a new creative twist. While Dick Wolf remains executive producer, Chicago Rescue brings in co-showrunners from the worlds of 9 to 11 and Station 19, infusing fresh storytelling styles and perspectives while staying rooted in that trademark Chicago grit. Why now? Franchise insiders say the timing was deliberate. The One Chicago universe has matured over the years, building strong connections between the three core series. We wanted to expand in a way that feels organic, said Wolf in a press release. Chicago Rescue allows us to explore new territory while honoring the legacy that fans love. These heroes don't just run into burning buildings. They rappel from helicopters, scale skyscrapers, and dive into the most dangerous parts of the city, both literally and emotionally. With increasing interest in emergency response shows that reflect the intensity of today's world, the network is betting big on Chicago Rescue. NBC has already ordered a full season, with a 2-hour crossover premiere event planned for the fall. Chicago Fire, PD, and Med will each contribute a storyline to set up the explosive kickoff, which insiders are teasing will involve a citywide emergency that brings all our favorite characters together and introduces this fearless new team in the most unforgettable way. What does this mean for other shows? Far from replacing any existing series, Chicago Rescue is designed to enhance the current lineup. NBC's Wednesday night One Chicago block remains untouched, with Rescue sliding into a Thursday night primetime slot, making room for double doses of action, drama, and emotional storytelling.